of nationhood in the past 60 years, many Nigerians have described as significant with an admixture of successes and failures. While some Nigerians argue that the major challenge of nation building is lack of purposeful leadership, others are of the view that the growth and development of any nation should be a shared responsibility. Suffice it to say that the average Nigerian citizen should be held accountable for the country's seeming position as a giant with clay feet despite the vast human and natural resources. That is the crux of our discussion on Panorama, reaching you live from Port Harcourt Network Center. I am Diba Bari Siedoma Weke. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the ambush on the entourage of Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State, which led to the death of security men and operatives of civilian JTF. The president described the attack on Maiduguri-Baga route as an orchestrated sabotage against the long-planned return of displaced persons to their local communities. He noted with deep sympathy the loss of lives of security men on the convoy ahead of the return of internally displaced persons and commiserated with their families and loved ones. The president advised the government of Borno State, working with security and intelligence agencies, to remain firm in their determination to restore normalcy to all communities liberated from the Boko Haram terrorists. The president commended the gallantry of the service personnel who repelled the deadly ambush, as well the sincere determination of Governor Zulum, who had been working with the armed forces to end the menace of terrorists, rebuild homes and return IDPs to regular life. He prays that God will grant the souls of the departed security men and operatives of civilian JTF eternal rest and comfort their families. A total of 18 people, including 4 soldiers, 10 policemen, and 4 civilians, died during the recent attack by terrorists on the Borno State Governor's Convoy on Civilians Relocation Committee. A statement by the Coordinator of Defense Media Operations, Major General John Eneche, indicates that the casualties were as a result of the multiple improvised explosive devices planted on the road by terrorists. Major General Eneche notes that the Nigerian Army has deployed bomb and IED disposal teams to ensure effective route scanning and clearance to forestall future occurrence. Troops on hot pursuit of the terrorists recovered 2 vehicles belonging to the police and 1 gun truck belonging to the criminals. In a determined effort to offer Nigerians an effective option to petrol, the federal government will focus on developing compressed natural gas, otherwise known as autogas, which is priced significantly lower than PMS. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo stated this during a virtual interactive session hosted by the African Report magazine. Answering questions regarding the removal of petrol subsidy, the Vice President said the country has experienced a severe downturn in its finances over the years, and at 60% less revenue, sustaining fuel subsidies is practically impossible. Under the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, the federal government's objective is to promote domestic use of compressed natural gas and support the creation of 1 million jobs. On increment in taxes, the Vice President noted that the administration has no plans of increasing taxes, stating that this is hardly the time to raise taxes. Addressing concerns raised about electricity tariffs, the Vice President said the era of subsidizing petrol and electricity was over, noting that government has adopted measures of addressing the situation. Laulu Akande, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in the Office of the Vice President, in a release stated that the Vice President added that the overall target of government in the Economic Sustainability Plan is to save existing jobs and revamp businesses by improving the spending capacity of Nigerians through the various initiatives in industry, agriculture, housing, and the solar connectivity projects. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says Nigeria will leverage tourism in its efforts to take development to the grassroots. The minister stated this in a statement to mark the 2020 World Tourism with the theme Tourism and Rural Development. He said the theme celebrates tourism's unique ability to drive economic development and provide opportunities outside big cities and in communities that would have been left behind, adding that tourism plays an important role in preserving and promoting culture and heritage all around the world. The minister stated that the plan by the federal government to establish community museums is part of efforts to ensure that local communities benefit from tourism. The minister further said the occasion of the 2020 World Tourism Day presents an opportunity for stakeholders to reflect on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has hit the sector hard, and also step down the national celebration of the day. The federal government has again reassured Nigerians that the full deregulation of the petroleum sector and the service-based electricity tariff adjustment will in the long run benefit the ordinary citizen. The reassurance was the high point of an interactive session by the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed and online publishers in Lagos. Anthony Forsen reports.
Is that the government can no longer afford the cost of subsidy.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed explaining to the online publishers the federal government's reason for the price hike on fuel. The minister said, under the prevailing circumstance, the federal government cannot sustain the payment of subsidy, having spent over 10 trillion naira to subsidize the product between 2006 and 2019.
The drastic fall in the revenues of the government explains why the government had to take certain tough decisions, even as it is acting to mitigate the effect of the economic slowdown by adopting an economic sustainability plan.
Lai Mohammed maintained that Nigeria is striving to ensure that alternatives to PMS is available and at more cheaper rate. Worthy of note is the coming on stream of modular refineries in the country, which will help lower the cost of petroleum products. However, he pointed out that despite the deregulation, PMS is still cheaper in Nigeria than neighboring countries and indeed the entire West and Central African sub-regions. On electricity tariff, the minister acknowledged that the privatization of the sector gave room for the increase, pointing out that the federal government cannot again continue to bear the burden of distribution companies after spending over 1.7 trillion naira by way of supplementing tariff shortfalls.
The government does not have the resources to continue along this path. To borrow just to subsidize generation and distribution, which are both privatized, would be grossly irresponsible.
He explained that tariff adjustment will be hinged on the capacity of the distribution company to guarantee a minimum of 12 hours of electricity, while estimated billing is under watch with strict instructions for mass metering. There are plans also by the federal government to provide 5 million Nigerian households with solar power in the next 12 months, a project that will create 250,000 jobs and will impact 25 million beneficiaries. Here again, he noted that Nigeria's electricity cost in Naira is by far the cheapest when compared to other African countries. In Lagos, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
60. Nigeria ought to have evolved in all spheres of national life in line with the dreams of the founding fathers amidst expectations from the populace. These are the views of stakeholders who shared their thoughts on the progress, prospects and challenges of nation building. Kingsley Amaji reports.
At Nigeria's independence then, the founding fathers envisioned an egalitarian society with equal opportunities for the overall well-being of Nigerians, away from the colonial experience. 60 years down the line, issues of ethnicity, corruption, religion, and leadership malfeasance still reverberate.
There are some inherent vices we have to eschew, like greed, avarice, and nepotism.
Nigeria's democracy, we are still growing. The government, the leaders should step up their game to ensure that the life of every citizen of this country are protected.
The concerns appear to becloud the achievements recorded over the years.
If Nigeria can eschew corruption in leadership, then we will have more resources to, recreate our, manufacturing, industrialization, science and technological sector.
Concerned stakeholders want to see through federalism, active youth engagement, and constitutionalism.
Those who are representing us, they are there because of us, and if they are not doing what we want them to do, we have the power to recall them. But for the citizens themselves to do what? To realize they are the source of power.
The followership have not been strong enough to appoint persons who can lead them well.
The leaders should be focused and must work for the general interest of the masses.
Why the theme for the 60th independence anniversary hinges on Nigeria's unity, keen watchers, an active judiciary, and a proactive citizens' participation in governance for effective results. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
With me in the studio to discuss issues of nation building is Imam Weke, lecturer, Captain Ilechi Amadi Technique, Port Harcourt. You're welcome, sir, to NTA Port Harcourt.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We are looking at nation building. Nigeria will be 60 very soon. And in your own perspective, what is nation building and why is it important?
Generally speaking, when we're talking about nation building, we're talking about the general growth of the country, of a nation. So I would like to take it from this point that for a nation to grow, it is not a one-way thing, it's an inclusive affair. So if talking about Nigeria independence at 60, to me, I think it's congratulations. At the age of 60, if it's a human, one human is one. If it is an individual, that person, if the person has been blessed with children, at age 60 should think of being a grandpa or grandma. So it is congratulations to grandpa, grandma, Nigeria. And if we take it from that note, we will see that Nigeria at 60 should have, if we look at the resources, the monies that have accrued to us from our resources from when we got independence to today, it is not commensurate to what we have on ground. So going forward, I should think that Nigeria should come back and have what I have called a work plan. Nigeria should have an atlas of development, and that is the only way to go. So as a country, we have to think about not just lip service, not just talk shows. We have to sit down and begin to work with issues bordering on employment generation. We have to link it from our inherent problem as a country. For instance, we have the issue of talking about petroleum products. We import petroleum products, and you see workers are arguing with their employers. So we cannot really do much about that. Now, we look at the situation where a country like Nigeria, that produces crude oil, is still import. So we're looking at the situation. The other time, federal government talked about the modular refineries, and up till now, we've not seen anything come out of it. It's going to give us a whole lot of thousands of jobs across. If they don't have the fund, they can liaise with IOCs. These IOCs in their homelands, they have refineries working there. So they can partner with them, see how they can shade the royalties or taxes accruing to them from these oil multinationals. Okay,
just like when you started, you said nation building is a two-way thing.
Yeah.
So why is that most Nigerians think they don't have a role to play, a significant role to play in nation building? Why is this so? Because it's just a two-way thing, so that means the government and the people. So why is it that Nigerians believe that they don't have a role to play in this nation building?
No, you know that even the leaders were also once followers. We cannot have a different leaders from the parent-follower group. So a Nigerian person has this perception that everything that we must have should come from the leaders. So it is a clarion call for all to be involved in your own little corner, wherever you are. Let's try to make Nigeria work.
Okay, just like I said, how can we change this narrative?
The only way to change,
lift the burden from only the leaders.
Yes, the only way to change. We can't lift. Of course, we have to work together with the leaders to make sure that Nigeria works. But at the same time, we can't take it totally away from them. They have to have the greater chunk of the responsibility, because they are there on the trust of the people to make sure that Nigeria works. We are looking at post-diamond age of Nigeria. We want to see a post-diamond age of Nigeria where education will work in Nigeria, where our tertiary institutions will be commercial centers, production centers, where people will have to go to get researches that are being dumped over the years to better the policies of government. We are looking at a Nigeria where people will have to finish a schooling, graduates, and they get a job. Now, look at it. Nigeria we have to also begin to think about how to recover our values. You look at it, it's very funny for a government to come and say that it is no longer a period of white-collar jobs. You finish the job and then you go to look for what to do. It's ridiculous. Meanwhile, government pays the teachers, they pay the lecturers to train these people, to train mechanical engineers. So how will government recoup their investment? It is only by creating employment opportunities for these individuals who will now work and then give back to the government purse. That way the country will blossom. We have people, we even minimize crime. A situation where the energies of the youths are redirected to something meaningful. Nigeria will have so much less to vote for security and all that. So it is a situation requiring us that we sit down and have a work plan, and not just to begin to talk. Nigeria should immediately constitute a thinker team, a crack team that will have to make out plans, work out in different strata of Nigeria, create a work plan, send it to the National Assembly, let it be a working document. For any government that will come, you already have a work plan. You work with it. If you leave, you are on now, you're now bringing your administrative document to break it into mileage. At any point you stop, you leave. Then there is a monitoring team that will rate you. Another government comes to take it up from there. If not, if we continue to do all these things that we do, Nigeria at 60 we dance and we do like that, nothing is really happening. We have to sit down, plan our lives, and Nigeria will be a better place.
So how can an average Nigerian be relevant to the scheme of things?
Nigeria, let me tell you something. Average Nigerian person can only be relevant in the scheme of things if the way they can participate in leadership is by giving the opportunity to vote the right candidates, the candidate that they feel can represent them, the candidate that can bring value to them. Now, I'm also thinking at the post-Nigeria at 60, Nigeria should look at a situation where we have a very frantic, melodramatic electoral reform. It is not a lip service electoral reform that will go deep into the fabric of what we call election in Nigeria. A situation where we have electronic voting, where everybody will have to vote. You know this candidate is credible, you know him, you know his antecedent. It's not a case where politicians will bring some individuals. I'm thinking that poverty is a tool by the political class. I don't know, because what is there in making sure that our electoral system improves, where we don't have to constitute peace committee to go and preach to people before elections, is ridiculous. So you just do something, sign it, and let the people vote who they think can lead them. That way they're participating in governance.
Okay. And then finally, what is your wish for Nigeria and fellow Nigerians?
My wish for Nigeria is that we should begin to have a Nigeria after 60, that people will finish school and get jobs. A Nigeria that is above 60, where people will feel secure and say proudly, this is my own country, Nigeria. A country where we will no longer have leaders that will just come and talk, and another set of leaders will come and talk. Let's have a work plan. Let's have a roadmap. Let's have an atlas, a way where Nigeria is going to. As it is presently, we don't know where we are going to be frank with you, but it is all the same. Congratulations, because we have moved away from where we were to where we ought to. We have not reached where we ought to be, but I think we're on transit to our destination.
How do we get to where we want to be?
It is by being ourselves. It is by avoiding hypocrisies and intimidations. It is by, ruling Nigeria the way you rule your own kids. Some persons, your child is in school, you have plans for him. So you're in a public space. What is the plan for the Nigerian person? So we have to come with a dedicated, commitment to do the right thing, and not necessarily people amassing wealth. It's bestial for somebody to take 10 billion, 5 billion belonging to the community, and people will clap for the person. It is ridiculous. Such persons should not be greeted. Such persons, we should invoke our cultural tendencies on such individuals, and then that is the only way we can go forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Imanweke, for coming live on the program today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks.
And that was Mr. Imanweke discussing challenges of nation building as o'clock 60. Panorama continues right after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. On the 26th of September, 136 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 were recorded in Nigeria. Till date, 58,198 cases have been discharged. 1,106 deaths have been recorded. The 136 new cases are reported from 16 states, and they include Lagos 41, Ogun 27, Rivers 19, Abia 10, Oyo and Plateau 6 cases each, Bauchi and Ondo 5, Ekiti and Kaduna 4, Edo 3, Ebonyi 2, while Bayelsa, Delta Osun and Yobe has a case each. Towards reducing the hazardous effects of municipal solid waste on human health and the environment, the federal government has built and handed over a scrap metal recovery and recycling plant to the River State government. Handing over the project, the Minister of Environment, Muhammad Abubakar, accompanied by the Minister of State, Sharon Ikazu, advised Nigerians to reduce the use of plastic in the country.
The Scrap Metal Recovery and Recycling Project is part of the federal government's Waste to Wealth Intervention Scheme, designed to assist states to manage solid waste in an environmentally friendly manner and create job opportunities for the youth. Scrap metals and plastics are no longer considered waste, but as resources which can be effectively recycled and converted into useful materials for manufacturing. The plant, established in Igbita community by the Federal Ministry of Environment, has the components of share baler, sorting bay, among other machines, to compress the metals before transporting to other places for final recycling.
Before now, they will have to take their scrap metal to another state. So also you see that this state now is another source of income for the state and the people of the state. So this is a multifaceted benefit for everyone.
Reducing usage of plastics or metal to protect our environment saves you money. Reusing it even saves you money. Recycling creates money.
River State Governor, represented by the Commissioner for Environment, Egbe Tamuno, commended the federal government, noting that the project will add value to the state economy.
Projects such as this will help us in no small measure in managing the environment. And of course, in that wise, will also provide jobs for our people.
The ministers also inspected ongoing swamp reclamation project at Ogbogoro community. Robinson Deratede, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy has assured international investors of maritime security within the nation's territorial waters. Flag Officer Commanding FOC Eastern Naval Command Rear Admiral David Adeniro gave the assurance after 6 warships and 60 gunboats successfully completed exercise Sanga Song along the Gulf of Guinea. Kingsley Amaji reports.
Oil theft, illegal oil bunkering, kidnapping, sea robbery and piracy among key security threats in the maritime sector. This exercise is intended to counter these threats, provide enhanced sea security, and restore investors' confidence in Nigeria's waterways. The Eastern Naval Command also used the platform to assess the operational readiness of its fleet, evaluate personnel skills and capacity towards responding to maritime threats, while also retraining the participating naval personnel.
We have to reassure our trading partners, that's Nigeria's trading partners, that our waters is safe.
Participants were trained on sea navigation, search and rescue operation, equipment handling, medical evacuation, among others. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And of course, newly appointed national football team coaches promise podium finish in the international tournament. Olumide Oguntola is our guide on sports update.
The newly appointed coaches for the country's 8th grade national teams assured football-loving Nigerians that with enabling environment, the game of football in the country will grow to the desired heights.
Going to the competition and making sure we have results that can really place the players at advantageous position, and at the end of the day, the essence of the underage will have been achieved.
We have been asked to key in to the vision mission statement of the Federation, which is to make sure that there is no age cheat at that level, so that it will help the under 17 to grow, and it will, the under 17 will help under 20, so they will get to the Super Eagles.
Meanwhile, football fans have been reacting to the choice of the various 8th grade national team coaches with high expectations from them.
Good move, but I think it's a little bit late, and I feel because of their wides of experience, maybe they were able to do better.
The last stints that they've had, they didn't really cover themselves in so much glory. We want new ideas, we want new inventions, we want to see people help build a philosophy.
We just have to support them. I hope they actually do well for the nation.
In another development, the President, Badminton Federation of Nigeria, Francis Obi, have appealed to corporate bodies to emulate the good gesture of 2 Chinese companies that donated 4,000 face masks and 11 infrared thermometers to the Federation in the country's bid to secure all COVID-19 protocol requirements for the eventual return to competitive outings.
This gesture is in line with the determination of the Federation to make sure that we do everything to ensure that our players are protected, they are safe, and they abide by the protocol.
From the English Premier League matches slated for Sunday indicates that 7th place Manchester City will welcome league leaders Leicester City, while Sheffield United will host Leeds United, among other matches. With sports update, Olumide Kuntola, NTA News.
On Panorama from Port Harcourt Network Center. Thanks for watching.